Welcome to Wupatki National Monument. My name is Lauren. I am the lead interpretation ranger here. I have worked here for almost 5 years now. So Wupatki National Monument was established in 1924 to protect and study the Wukoki Pueblo and the rich human history that is here. These stone structures called pueblos were inhabited by ancestors of contemporary Pueblo tribes between the early 1100s and the mid-1200s. They were also utilized later, more recently, by Dene sheep herders, ranchers in the area, and the rangers that were working here in the early 1900s. By the mid-1100s, this was a thriving agricultural community. There was trade going on for hundreds of miles in all directions. Many artifacts that are found here are evidence of that. There are copper bells from Mesoamerica, shell bracelets. Shells came from all the way to the west, what is now the Gulf of California, and also macaw parrots. So at the Wupatki Pueblo, there were the remains of about 40 macaw parrots. And that is something that's pretty unique because they don't live here naturally. They had to be brought in from the south. And over at Chaco Canyon, there are also remains of parrots there. So there may have been trading with those people for other things as well as ideas, because there are Chacoan influences in the architecture in some of the pueblos here as well. Within Wupatki National Monument, there are actually 7 different pueblo structures to see on 4 different trails. There's one road, so when you come into the entrance, you're going to be driving on one road and you stop along the way at the different trail sites. All of our trails are a half of a mile or less, and most of them are at least partially accessible. So it's a pretty easy way to see all of these sites here. If you're coming into the north entrance, you'll go about 4 miles and then stop at the Wukoki Pueblo, which has 3 different structures. That trail is a half of a mile round trip. The next stop is the Citadel and Nalakihu Pueblos. That trail is only 0.2 miles, but it does take you up on the top of a hill because the Citadel Pueblo is actually built on the top of a small cinder hill. Continuing from Citadel, if you drive another 10 miles down the road, you get to the Visitor Center. And directly behind the Visitor Center is the Wupatki Pueblo. That is the namesake Pueblo of the monument, and it is spectacular. There's over 104 rooms, a ball court, a community room, and a geologic feature where there is air coming right out of the ground. From the Visitor Center, to get to the Wukoki Pueblo, you'll take a right out of the parking lot and then make the first left. And it's just a 2.5 mile drive, so it's just down the road from the Visitor Center. And once you're done here, you can continue on the road to visit Sunset Crater Volcano National Monument as well. The pueblo that's behind me here is Wukoki Pueblo. This is a little older than Wupatki Pueblo, and it was built maybe 25 years before Wupatki. It's pretty unique because it is a 3-story tower structure. And at that time period, the next closest tower was all the way at Mesa Verde. So this is pretty unique. It's built on the top of a large sandstone outcrop, gives really good views to the surrounding landscape. And it probably had about 8 rooms total when people were living here. It is also next to a small wash, so they would have had water source when it rained. And it's relatively close to the Little Colorado River. If you follow the wash to the east, you hit the Little Colorado River in about 1 mile. If you're wanting to visit all of the trails here at Wupatki, I would suggest giving yourself 2 to 3 hours to visit. Drive time in the park is only about a half an hour, and all the trails are pretty short, but you're gonna wanna take a lot of photos and stop and see the different sites. So definitely give yourself a couple hours. If you have a short amount of time and you want to just do 1 or 2 pueblos, maybe stop at the Wupatki Pueblo, which is just behind the Visitor Center, and the Wukoki Pueblo right here. Those are kind of the 2 most unique ones. But if you have a couple hours, you can see everything. While you're visiting Wupatki, we do ask that you stay on the trails. However, there are ranger-guided off-trail hikes that you can do in the wintertime. So these are called discovery hikes, and between November and March, They're usually on Saturdays. You can call the visitor center and sign up for those. And they take you out into different areas of the park where you can see petroglyphs and different pueblo structures. It's all ranger guided, usually 2 or 3 miles, so not typically very difficult, but another experience that you can do in your national monument. Even though it does get pretty hot here in the summer, you can come here as early as sunrise and walk the trails because all of the trails are open from sunrise to sunset. So if you're wanting to come here in the summertime, we do recommend you come earlier in the morning when it is cooler. One of the interesting things that does happen in the summertime as well are the monsoon storms. So some of the clouds that you see today are building into thunderstorms. This time of day, you might not see a lot of animals here in Wupatki because most of the wildlife that's here are crepuscular, so they're more active in the mornings and the evenings, which is another reason to come here earlier in the mornings. You might get to see coyote and mule deer, pronghorn, maybe some elk, as well as smaller animals, so jackrabbits and cottontail rabbits. Lots of lizards, maybe some snakes in the summertime. There are also many birds here. They do like to hang around where the visitor center is or where there's other water sources, but you're pretty much guaranteed to see at least the common ravens, the big black birds that are hanging around in the visitor center. Several trails within the monument do have sections that are rated accessible. The Wukoki Pueblo is accessible up to the overlook, and then the Wukoki Pueblo also is accessible up to the base of the pueblo. If you're staying in the Flagstaff area for a few days and you're looking for places to camp, there are lots of opportunities for dispersed camping in the Coconino National Forest surrounding Wupatki. There's also Bonito Campground, which is a National Forest run campground located about 20 miles away, just across from the Sunset Crater Volcano Visitor Center. That is typically open between May and October every year. So even though Wupatki National Monument is protected specifically for the unique archaeological resources here, that's only part of the story. If you visit here, you're also going to see incredible examples of geology, the Moenkopi Formation from the Triassic and the Permian timeframe as well. There's unique plant communities, lots of different wildlife to see, and if you're here at night, there are amazing dark skies.